Have you ever found yourself in a relationship that feels, well, just like the last one? The one you swore you'd never repeat? It's a really frustrating and honestly painful experience that leaves so many of us wondering, why does this keep happening to me? Well, today we're going to dissect that, because this isn't about bad luck. It's about a deep psychological pattern that can pull us toward the very people and dynamics we consciously want to run away from.
You swore you would never date a person like that again. Yet, here you are. Why do we keep choosing the very people who hurt us? This is the dark, psychological paradox of attraction to toxicity, a powerful hidden pattern that forces us to chase pain instead of peace. These words really get to the heart of it, don't they? It's this battle between what we want, peace, stability, and this unconscious force that seems to have a totally different agenda. Our goal today is to finally drag that hidden agenda out into the light.
And to do that, we've got a really clear roadmap. First, we'll define the unwanted pattern. Then, we'll dive into familiarity's deceptive pull. This is where we'll see why our brains get so confused. Next, we'll watch the pattern in action, the actual trap that keeps us stuck. From there, we'll uncover the unconscious motivation driving the whole thing. And then, the most important part, we'll talk about how to rewrite your blueprint with real, practical steps. And finally, how to go from pattern to power.
Okay, Section 1, the unwanted pattern. This is really about that feeling of déjà vu in our relationships. You know, the face has changed, but the core feeling of anxiety, of not being quite good enough, somehow stays the same. Recognizing this isn't about blaming yourself. It's the absolute first step toward taking back control.
So that brings us to Section 2, familiarity's deceptive pull. This is where we get into why your brain can mistake dysfunction for destiny. And here's the thing you have to understand. Your brain isn't always looking for happiness. A lot of the time, it's just looking for what's familiar. And for so many of us, what's familiar is chaos.
So let's get a really clear definition of what we're talking about. Attraction to toxicity. It's not a character flaw, it's not a desire for drama, it is a predictable psychological pattern of repeatedly seeking out partners who show these manipulative, narcissistic, or emotionally abusive behaviors. And the key word here is pattern. This is not random, it's a system. It's a magnetic pull toward a very specific kind of dynamic.
So where in the world does this pattern even come from? Well, the roots go way back, and two theories help explain it. First, you've got attachment theory. Basically, our very first bonds with our caregivers create a template, a blueprint for all of our future relationships. And that leads directly to schema theory. We develop these internal blueprints for what love is supposed to feel like. So, for example, if you grew up having to fight for attention, your blueprint might be, love requires struggle, or I have to earn affection. And this isn't just a memory, it's like an active program running in the background.
And this blueprint is what leads to the great misinterpretation. This is so crucial. This is where our feelings just completely lie to us. When you meet someone who fits that old dysfunctional blueprint, maybe they're distant or a little critical, your brain doesn't see a red flag. It feels home. So what feels like intense chemistry is actually your brain recognizing familiar dysfunction. That overwhelming passion, that's really just deep anxiety. And that spark everyone talks about, it's not magic. It's the sound of your old, painful pattern kicking into gear.
Okay, Section 3, the pattern in action. Now that we know what it is, let's look at the machinery of how it works. Because this isn't just random chaos. It's a very specific, predictable, three-stage mechanism that is literally designed to keep you trapped.
This mechanism is called the cycle of repetition compulsion. And you can see it right here, it's a loop. It starts with blueprint activation, which then snowballs into emotional intensity and idealization, and that leads, finally, to the vain pursuit. Let's break down that first step.
Step 1, blueprint activation. It starts so subtly. You meet someone and they do something that displays a familiar negative trait. Maybe they're a little flaky with texting, or make a joke that's kind of at your expense. Consciously, you might just brush it off, but unconsciously, a tripwire has just been hit. This is the hidden pattern at work. Their behavior perfectly matches the old data in your schema, so your subconscious doesn't scream danger. It whispers, this is an intense connection. It feels like fate, but it's really just history on repeat.
And that activation leads directly to Step 2, emotional intensity and idealization.
The partner's inconsistency, the hot and cold behavior, the affection followed by pulling away, it creates this constant state of anxiety. You're always on edge, wondering what's next. And your brain completely mislabels this high-stakes emotional roller coaster as deep, incredible passion. You start to idealize them, focusing only on the good moments, because admitting the whole thing is unstable is just too much to handle.
This idealization then powers step 3, the vain pursuit. Now you're totally invested. You pour all this energy into trying to fix the relationship or to win them over for good. You think, if I can just be a little better, a little more patient, they'll finally change. And this is how the pattern strengthens itself. Every ounce of effort you put in reinforces your original blueprint that love requires a massive struggle. And meanwhile, the toxic partner, they're often feeding on all that energy. It's called narcissistic supply, and it just cements the loop, trapping you.
Okay, so we can see it's a system. We see how it works. But what's actually fueling it? That brings us to section 4, the unconscious motivation. Why does your brain get so addicted to the chase? What deep need is this whole pattern trying and failing to meet?
Well, the core motivation is something called the unconscious drive for mastery. And this is a really profound idea. Deep down, your psyche is not trying to get hurt again. It's actually seeking out a familiar emotional scene from your past, the one that created the painful blueprint in the first place, and it's desperately trying to win this time around. You're trying to fix the past by controlling the present. You think, if I can just get this unavailable person to finally choose me, it's like I can go back in time and heal that original wound. It's an unconscious attempt to rewrite your own history.
And your brain's own chemistry pours gasoline on this fire. The chase for an inconsistent partner, it works just like a slot machine. The constant anxiety and anticipation of waiting for them to be kind, that's the setup. And then, when they finally give you a tiny breadcrumb of affection, one nice text, one compliment, your brain releases a flood of dopamine, the reward chemical. This powerful reward for enduring all that pain creates this addictive reinforcement loop. You become addicted not to the person, but to the cycle itself.
Look, understanding all of this can feel a little bleak. I get it. But it is not a life sentence. And that brings us to the most hopeful part, Section 5, rewriting your blueprint. This is where we shift from just analyzing the problem to taking action. Knowledge is power, but a conscious strategy is what finally lets us choose peace.
Breaking this cycle really boils down to 3 core strategies. First, you have to identify the hidden pattern. Second, you must treat red flags as exit signs. And third, you have to learn to practice boring availability. Let's dig into that first one.
Strategy 1 is all about making the unconscious conscious. You have to become a detective of your own history. I mean it. Sit down with a pen and paper and meticulously list the core traits of your past toxic partners. What did they all have in common? Emotionally unavailable? Critical? Unreliable? See the pattern? Then, the next time you feel that overwhelming, can't eat, can't sleep spark for someone new, you have to pause. And you have to acknowledge this feeling is not destiny. This is my repetition compulsion activating. That awareness, that's your first line of defense.
Strategy 2 requires a radical change in perspective. You have to start treating red flags as exit signs. When someone is consistently inconsistent or dismisses your feelings early on, your old pattern will see that as a challenge. It'll say, oh, you can fix this. You can be the one to change them. You have to learn to override that voice. See that red flag not as an invitation to try harder, but as non-negotiable proof that the pattern is active. It's a blinking sign that says, wrong way, turn around. This time you take the exit.
And finally, strategy 3. This one can be the hardest, but it's the most transformative. You have to practice boring availability. See, when you're conditioned to see anxiety as love, stability feels, well, boring. So you have to consciously relabel your feelings. As you see here, what your pattern calls boring, you have to learn to call safe. What feels like no chemistry is actually peaceful. And what seems too easy is what a consistent and secure connection really feels like. It's about retraining your entire nervous system to find comfort in calm, not in chaos. Which brings us to our final section, moving from pattern to power. Because as heavy as this topic can be, the ultimate message here is one of complete empowerment. Just recognizing the pattern is the first, most powerful step toward your own freedom.
I really want this to sink in. You are not doomed to choose bad partners. You are psychologically conditioned to chase familiar pain. You are not broken. You are simply running on old programming. And that intense, gut-wrenching feeling that you've always mistaken for love, that is the hidden pattern activating. It's your past calling out, not your future.
And so, that's it. It all clicks into place. This attraction to toxicity isn't a mystery. It's a mechanism. It's driven by that repetition compulsion, an unconscious attempt to go back and fix the past. We've seen exactly how it works. An old blueprint gets activated, which triggers an addictive chase to resolve an old wound. But that loop is not unbreakable. The moment you can identify your hidden pattern, the moment you consciously choose to prioritize peace over passion, that is the moment you take back the controls. You stop trying to rewrite the past, and you finally start writing a new future.
Because once you see it, you really can't unsee it. Awareness breaks the compulsion. It gives you a choice where before you felt like you had none. The final question isn't about what you're drawn to anymore, it's about what you decide to create. Now that you see the pattern, what will you choose to build?